We're going to begin with the meeting for the Woodland Park Planning Commission as of April 25th, the regular meeting. First thing we're going to go into is order and roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin with John DeVoe.
Here.
Jeff Watson.
Here.
Helen Carrick.
Here.
Vicki Good.
Here.
Jerry Penland.
Here.
Peter Scanlon.
Here.
And for the record, Mr. Chairman, Lee Brown, Ken Hartsfield, and Charles Schrader are away today.
You join us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking for approval or corrections to the minutes of March 14th.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First item, number 4A, public hearings. CUP 19-002, a conditional use permit for 18.09.090 F6 truck and trailer rental on Lot 1, Aspen Acres, 19251 East Highway 24, in the community commercial zone is requested by Pete LaBar, High Country Real Estate Holdings, LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to introduce the applicant, who will do his presentation, and then my presentation will follow. Mr. Chairman, there's a couple of questions.
I did want to make a statement that I do drive by the location. I live over on the other side of Walmart. I do drive by. I did see a public notice sign. I see it on a regular basis. And I did see Mr. LaBar at a meeting today.
We all kind of drive by.
And we all know just about everybody, but I wanted to disclose that.
Anyway, okay, thank you. Thank you. You guys are up.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, thank you for your time and your service this evening. Oh. Hello? Hello? Okay. I'll start over. Mr. Chairman and Commission members, thank you for your time this evening, for your service on the Planning Commission. My name is Pete LaBar. I'm the owner of the property at 19251 East US Highway 24, the proposed location for a U-Haul. For clarity's sake, and I want to thank everybody else who's attending as well. For clarity's sake, there was some scuttle going around that this would make a better location for a Hooters, a Tilted Kilt, a porn shop, all of that. We're not here to talk about that tonight. And so for those who thought that might be a better use of the property, we beg to differ. So at this point, I'd like to introduce my COO. He'll be doing the presentation, Gary Lukey, and I'll turn the time over to him.
Thank you, Pete. And
Name, serial number. You know the drill. Name, rank, serial number.
Okay. All right. My name is Gary Lukey, and as Pete said, I am the Chief Operating Officer working alongside Pete. And you want my address? Address in Woodland Park, 429 Fairfield Lane in Woodland Park, 80863. Anything else that needs to be? That's it. Okay, so what I'd like to do is make the official presentation for this U-Haul service location, again to be located at 19251 East Highway 24. And first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about the U-Haul and what we will be doing there. So it's a business that will offer truck rentals. They could be from a pickup truck to a 12-foot, 14-foot, 16-foot, all the way up to a 26-foot moving van. and then also offer up to 12-foot trailers at that location. That's the max that they will rent, is a 12-foot trailer. In addition, inside the building, we will be also offering various products for sale, mainly related to the moving industry, i.e. Boxes, bubble wrap, tape, locks to put on the door, or perhaps a storage unit. Just some of the essentials that people are looking for when they go move and all that. We believe it's a great service type of business for the community here. A little background on U-Haul. U-Haul has over 20,000 locations in the U.S. and Canada. They're very prominent. They're considered one of the most affordable moving equipment companies in the industry. We have met with an area manager for this area for U-Haul. We've met with them multiple times. They're excited about it, and they believe it will be a great location to help service the community. Why do we need a U-Haul here? Well, basically what we could tell, and I believe the reports have confirmed, obviously Woodland Park is growing. Teller County is growing for a variety of reasons. I believe it's also evidenced by the recent apartment buildings going up, Trail Ridge Apartments. They go up and they're almost instantly full. There's another apartment complex on 67 recently built, instantly full. People seem to be constantly moving in and out of the community here. And so there's a need, a definite demand for this type of service in the community. I did a little research, and now this is a national statistic, but it shows that homeowners will move on an average of 5 to 7 years. So people aren't staying in their home for 30 or 40 years. It can happen, but in our society, there seems to be a little more moving going on. Renters move every 2 to 3 years, and those are in a home. And they say the report is if you live in an apartment, they move even more frequently than 2 to 3 years. So we believe the demand is there, and this will provide a much-needed service and product to our community. It will also offer an employment opportunity as people. We hire a customer service representative. It will also bring in increased sales revenue to the area here, and it fills a vacant space. Currently, on that side of the building, there is nothing in that building there. So overall, we believe it's a good choice, a good selection, and the U-Haul product is very well known to really throughout the U.S. Going into another category about the U-Haul business at this particular property, we do not believe it will have an impact on the value of neighboring properties and businesses. First of all, it's been a commercial use building for many years. It's been a restaurant, a retail candy shop, a wood carving store, outdoor recreational rental company is currently on the other side. That is currently being occupied as we speak. We obtained a real estate broker, I believe you have a copy of that, a professional opinion that indicates that this business did not think that the business would have a impact to the surrounding real estate values. Again, the building is already there, it exists. It will not have an adverse impact to anything bordering that. It seems to be a good fit, in our opinion, being that there's a recreational rental business right next door. There's no changes to the building that we see are necessary. It already has the proper infrastructure, services, utilities. Everything is really there for us to move into. And I just want to clarify, we will be submitting a detailed parking plan as to how we believe the vans, the trailers, the location where those will be parked. And so we saw the staff recommendations on the parking in We have every intention of meeting those parking standards as specified in the municipal code. We saw the initial, and we don't have any problem with reviewing that and submitting to the codes. We do plan, just as a high level, we do plan on parking the trailers and basically all the rental equipment along the north between the building and the hillside. So it'll be along that corridor. We know there's a 25-foot area that we need to be beyond the street, etc. So we believe it'll help, really parking it along that side will actually help conceal the equipment that's sitting out there because of the north side, the building. So really, just really coming directly right on it will be the main visible area. One thing that also, if you have driven by, as you mentioned, you've seen probably some of the inventory that the previous tenant left on the side there. He left some equipment and left some inventory of logs and carvings, etc. And he has already been given a deadline of when to have those removed, and we will follow with that. And obviously, if he does not comply with that demand, we will obviously be cleaning that area of all the logs, all the equipment, everything there will be totally cleared out by the time we start the business. So I just wanted to make a note that that'll be all taken care of. In addition, we hired LSC consultants, they're transportation consultants, to confirm the low impact to traffic flow on Highway 24 with this type of business. And if I could just read an excerpt from what they said. Their professional opinion revealed that traffic generation of a U-Haul site would be approximately 35 vehicle trips per day. We believe that this is really pretty low when compared to 25,000 average daily traffic count at the nearby traffic count station as provided by CDOT. So we really don't believe people aren't just going to come in this store and browse. They're there they're ready to move. They don't want to chit chat. They're going to get their supplies, and they have one thing on their mind, and they are going to get moving in that. So it's not going to be a browsing type of a retail center. So in summary, just to reiterate, we do plan to hire an employee to take care of the business. We believe that'll be good for the economy as well. Offer products and services in the community that currently do not exist. Again, people are having to go to neighboring communities to rent this type of equipment. So we know this is part of the city's plan, and it fits within the vision is to provide these types of services here in the community. As I mentioned, there seems to be an increased demand of people moving in and out of Woodland Park. U-Haul believes it's going to be a great location, as stated by the area manager. It's going to be successful and help provide equipment to the local community. Again, they're on board with it, so no problems there. We're going to be using a facility that already exists, has a proper infrastructure, services, and utilities. The facility and the grounds seem to be well suited for this type of business. And again, just wanted to reiterate, we have reviewed the staff recommendations, and we agree and plan on meeting those conditions as already noted. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, Gary, I see John Smith here, who is the area field manager for U-Haul and will be, did you want him to come up and speak about the business that he will be managing?
Come on up, John.
Can't hide in the corner.
I know, right?
Hi, everybody. I just want to say that I really think this is going to be a great thing for the community.
For the record, name.
My area field manager, John Smith. Tough name.
For U-Haul.
For U-Haul.
And where are your offices at?
I'm in Colorado Springs.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think this would be a really great thing for the community. You don't have to worry about anything like it being an automotive shop. I mean, we're very clean. All of our equipment gets taken up to Denver for oil changing and things like that, where all of our equipment, it gets changed out on a regular basis. It all stays nice and clean, so it won't be an eyesore. I think it'll actually be an upgrade from what's in there right now with all the logs and making everything just kind of an eyesore, kind of a messy deal. It's very clean, so it won't depreciate the area. And I mean, it's one of the top 10 most stressful things in people's lives is to move, and we're trying to service that and make it easier for everybody instead of having to travel to go get vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What we'll do is hold up for questions because it's your turn to go through it. And then we may call you back for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Laura Pellegrino, and I'm the city planner. And tonight we are here for the U-Haul conditional use permit consideration and recommendation by the Planning Commission. It is a conditional use permit for F6, which is truck and trailer rental use. The applicant, Pete Labar from High Country Real Estate Holdings LLC, was just up and presented the concept plan for his proposal. It is a conditional use permit that will only apply to Lot 1 of Aspen Acres subdivision with an address of 18251 East Highway 24. So tonight is the Planning Commission consideration for this particular use permit, and it is the public hearing. And then Planning Commission makes the recommendation to City Council, and they will have first hearing. It has been scheduled for May 2nd on the ordinance for this conditional use permit, and the subsequent public hearing is scheduled for May 16th. And of course, that's all subject to change. This is a brief overview map showing the site. And you can see that it's in the southern quadrant of Woodland Park, just abutting the Highway 24 corridor. This is an aerial. It's quite an old aerial, so it doesn't show exactly what you're seeing today, but it is useful in that it identifies the site in green, identifies the existing building, which footprint has not changed, and it also identifies the existing highway adjacent to it, Trull Road coming up, and Elk Grove Lane here, Cirrus Court here, and across the highway is the Saddle Club site and the Woodland Park storage facility and the Woodland Park pump station. Also is a photo of the front elevation. This is the county assessor's photo, which is a little old, but the structure of the building and the facade is pretty much the same, except the color is a little different, which I will show you in some photos coming up. So this was the air photo from Google Earth. This is a 2017 air photo, and again, it is not the most current photo of the site. Some improvements to this site and the adjacent sites have been made, but what it does show very effectively is the cut bank on the north slope. And as the applicant mentioned, the proposal is to put about 17 spaces for trucks and trailer rental pretty much along this area here. And I'll show you the site plan in a few slides. This is the existing building footprint. You see this little rectangle here, and the improvements, the existing parking lot and a patio here to the south, Trull Road, Swiss Chalet is immediately to the south. And this is Teller County right here. This is the boundary between the city of Woodland Park and Teller County. Actually, this shows you as well. This is Teller County, a little enclave of Teller County, and the city surrounds it. So this is a zoning map. The site that we're looking at today is marked by this green star, and it is colored in this community commercial color, which is the pink color for the community commercial zone district. Here you can see the boundaries between the city of Woodland Park and Teller County in this heavy black line. The property does abut immediately Highway 24 and part of Trull Road to the south. The surrounding zoning, you can see multifamily here to the east, service commercial here to the west across the highway, Teller County, and then north of Teller County is further other zones in the city. So immediately surrounding is the multifamily and community commercial. This is an excerpt of the applicant's site plan. I've just marked it up, identifying in bright red the actual property boundary for Lot 1, which is what this conditional use permit will apply to. In the dashed red line is the 25-foot setback that the trucks and trailers have to be set back from the front. The applicant has shown conceptually where the 17 spaces would go. That's indicated in this yellow oval. And staff conceptually understands that they would fit, that 17 spaces probably angled at a 45-degree or more, with an aisle to get in and out and to maneuver is feasible in this location. However, the site plan doesn't show the entire parking spaces for both tenants and for the entire building. And so staff has asked for and recommended a complete parking plan that shows dimensions and landscaping and the surface area, where the parking will be, where the handicap parking will be for this entire lot. And that was one of the conditions in the site plan. This also identifies the fencing that has been put up. It was just put up last summer, around May or June, maybe even July of last year, in this blue dash line. So it abuts the building here, right up to Lot 1, and then goes up to the slope, that cut bank that we saw in the other slide. And then the fence butts the building here on this corner, which is the southeast corner, goes down towards the property line, and then goes into that portion of Lot 2. And again, the fence is in Lot 1, and all of Lot 1 is subject to this conditional use permit. So this is a photo from the corner of Highway 24 and Trull Road looking into the site. You can see the corner of Great Outdoors Adventures. I think I said that right. Which is the tenant on the southern part of the southern half of this building. You can see the patio space that they have here, and then you can see the fence as it comes and abuts the building, comes down to the property line, and then turns and goes down Trull Road. So a portion of Lot 1 is behind this fence. What this also shows is some of the existing condition of the parking lot and the colors of the building. So this is standing at the same corner. Here's Trull Road looking down, east down Trull Road, looking more in towards the corner of the building here and some of the parking lot, and you can see the condition of some of the asphalt. And staff has asked that any improvements that are identified in the parking plan submitted by the applicant be done within 1 year. And the reason for giving them 1 year is because there'll be some construction within this parking lot for the water main that they're proposing to extend across to the storage facility, and so the parking lot's going to get ripped up anyway, so there's no need to improve it at this point. But the condition states that within 1 year of the ordinance approval that they will improve it so that it is up to our standards. So this is from the same spot, looking further in, showing you the front facade of the building with the existing paint colors and how it looks. The applicant is not proposing any changes to the exterior at this point or with this application. And then as I stand at that corner, now we're looking down Highway 24 along the sidewalk that abuts Highway 24 and at the edge of the parking lot, and there's the building there. So it gives you an idea of some of the grade coming off the parking lot into the right-of-way for the Highway 24 corridor. This is walking down the sidewalk to the north-west corner of the site. Again, looking south along the sidewalk trail abutting Highway 24 here on the right-hand side of this image, and you can see the site and the parking lot that exists. And this is angling in a little bit more towards the north, looking at this side of the building. The U-Hauls will be parked along this cut bank right here and tucked in between the building and the bank, just as the applicant proposed. So again, this shows you gives you a really good idea of the condition of this parking surface and this parking lot, and you can see a lot of the striping, if it's still there, is very faded, and some of the parking area surface is crumbling and will need to be improved. And this is looking right from that corner at the northwest corner of the site, looking right down the lane where these U-Haul trucks and trailers will be parked. All right, so this is going down to the other end of the U-Haul lane. Let's just call it the U-Haul lane at this point. So I'm behind the building now, looking down towards the highway, and this gives you an idea of where they'll be parked and how they'll be hidden between the cut bank and the building. And this is just a close-up view of my car. Yeah. But that is where the U-Hauls will be parked. So there was some concern about erosion. This is not a natural cut bank, and one of the conditions that staff is recommending is that this erosion be monitored so that there are no off-site impacts. The erosion is onto the applicant's property from the applicant's property. As a matter of fact, he owns the property to the north. And so staff is just asking that it be monitored, and the condition is that there be no off-site impacts, either as a resulting from the erosion or from drainage from this slope. And if there are impacts, the condition states that the applicant is responsible to mitigate those impacts. So again, the applicant has stated that they will be cleaning up this site and getting it ready for the U-Haul truck and trailer rental, cleaning up some of this wood that has been left over from previous users, and of course doing some improvements, I would anticipate, to this parking surface. So staff did do a complete review and analysis of this conditional use permit application. We sent out a referral to various city departments, including the Utilities Department, the Public Works Department, and the Building Department. We also sent it out to external agencies like the Northeast Teller County Fire Protection District, IREA, Black Hills, TDS, and CenturyLink. We did public notices in the Pikes Peak Courier. We posted the site with a poster, 2 posters actually, and we also sent out letters to all property owners within 150 feet of this site, including the including all of the sites and everybody within 150 feet. So the existing zone that we are within is 1821, which is the Community Commercial CC Zone District. So when we have a conditional use permit before us, we have 11 standards that are listed in the municipal code, and I'm briefly going to go through these 11 standards. First of all, staff does believe that this site would be adequately service the need that's for the truck and trailer rental use within the city of Woodland Park. It abuts 2 streets, Trail Road and the highway corridor would be able to be easily accessible from this site and would be ideal for a rental service facility. So the site is well suited for this use. Staff does believe that there is no injury to public health or welfare if this use were to go in, especially as conditioned with respect to erosion control. Staff does not believe there will be any injury to surrounding property values and encourages the occupancy of vacant properties within the city. Staff does believe that this would harmonize. They are not proposing any changes to the architectural facade of the building, and the parking spot for the U-Haul truck and trailer rental service portion of it will be by the cut bank, which reduces visibility and mitigates any visual impacts, especially from surrounding homes. Staff does believe this use would harmonize with the commercial zone in the area and with the neighborhood as it currently exists. It does comply with city plans, policies, objectives, and action plans within those plans. It will create employment. Staff does believe it meets city regulations. They did submit a conceptual site plan, and staff is conditioning this conditional use permit, is recommending a condition that they submit a full detailed parking plan that complies with the city regulations for parking. They did submit a traffic study, and the traffic impacts will be negligible, if not the same as they were before, for the commercial uses that have been proposed in the past and for this proposed use. Drainage, they're not proposing any changes to the drainage, but drainage will be looked at when they submit with their parking plan improvements. Drainage has to be addressed on site. Water, sewer, and wastewater all currently exist to this site, and no improvements or extensions are necessary. Staff does not believe there are any hazards. We are well aware of the cut bank that exists on that slope, and again, it is conditioned, approval is conditioned on the applicant monitoring that slope. And again, architectural design, there are no architectural design changes proposed at this time, nor are any required. We are just asking for that parking plan for more detail. So staff does recommend to the Planning Commission that they recommend to City Council approval Based on the findings contained in the staff report and as presented at public hearings for this conditional use permit for Section 1809090 F6 truck and trailer rental, specifically and only for Lot 1, Aspen Acres, with an address of 19251 East Highway 24, subject to the following conditions. Condition number 1, parking. At no time shall employees or customers park on street, nor shall trucks or trailers that are for rent be parked or left on Trawl Road or Highway 24, and at no time shall maintenance, excluding light service such as filling tire air or windshield washer fluid, be performed on any of the vehicles within the parking lot, including the truck and trailer rental units. Condition number 2, parking plan. Prior to occupancy by the truck and trailer rental business, A, the property owner shall submit for Planning Department review and approval a parking plan for all of Lot 1, demonstrating compliance with Chapter 1839 off-street parking and loading requirements of the City Municipal Code, including but not limited to the number and size and dimension of all parking spaces, parking space markings, the aisle dimensions, the hard surface material, handicap spaces, landscaping, snow storage, etc., all pursuant to Section 1839. B, that the parking plan shall state in writing, at no time shall employees or customers park on street, nor shall trucks or trailers that are for rent be parked or left on Trawl Road or Highway 24, and at no time shall maintenance, excluding light service such as filling tire air or windshield washer fluid, be performed on any vehicles within the parking lot, including the truck and trailer rental units. And condition C, 2C, all tenants of Lot 1 shall be provided a copy of and shall comply with the requirements of the approved parking plan. Condition number 3, parking improvements. The property owner shall install all parking lot improvements, if any, pursuant to the approved parking plan within 1 year of approval of the ordinance for the conditional use permit. And condition number 4, erosion. The property owner shall monitor erosion from the cut bank on the north side of the property and shall address and be responsible for any bank instability or degradation that may arise due to the sloughing or other forms of erosion. Erosion from this cut bank or any other area on Lot 1 shall not impact adjacent properties or rights of ways. Any impact shall be corrected or mitigated by the property owner. That concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman. Are there any questions of me or the applicant at this time? Or, yes, me or the applicant.
Taking my question away. That's okay. At this point in time, since she's concluded hers, any questions that you have for the applicant or staff, we'd entertain you ask them now.
Several questions. I guess I'm not sure I heard about the lighting, how the lighting would be arranged for safety for your U-Haul rental vehicles and people.
There's no proposed change to the lighting. Will be a daytime operation. U-Haul assumes all liability for any of the vehicles, trailers that are taken off site. So they typically leave them outside if somebody comes along, and I don't mean to make this public, but answering the question, it's their responsibility, it's not our responsibility. They have insurance and they have a very effective way of retrieving their equipment if it should be taken by somebody who wasn't supposed to take it.
And are the people will you won't have a gas tank or underground type thing? They'll need to fill up the vehicle before they return it, or you go fill it up elsewhere?
Correct. Yes, we won't be servicing the vehicles, anything like that on site.
And the only other question is the fence and its upkeep, normal upkeep, so that it continues to look good.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got a question concerning the parking, the proposed parking. Do the customers park the vehicle, or does your employee park the vehicle?
We will be parking the vehicles.
And then another question that I have is...
If I may, just clarify, there'll be a drop-off location for after-hours drop-off. It doesn't affect our neighboring business. So if somebody comes after hours, they'll be directed where to drop the vehicle on in front or beside the building. And once that's on site, our staff, when they arrive in the morning, they will reposition the vehicle or the trailers to where they need to be in the parking area. And just for clarity's sake, we've identified 17 spots. We typically, most U-Haul dealerships only have about 10 or 11 pieces of equipment on site at any time. So there's not an overabundance of vehicles that we'll be dealing with. The idea is, like any business, you want to move inventory. So what we do when a reservation is made, those vehicles are typically delivered on site if we don't have them the day before, the evening of, dropped off so that they're ready to go out the next morning.
The next question that I was going to ask was the 24-hour drop box. So you would drop off the vehicle. I'd like to know more about the lighting for the public safety, for where they're dropping the keys off into the box and dropping off the vehicle. I'd like to know that they're not, way up here in the dark area, fumbling around trying to,
There's light in front of the building. There'll be drop boxes on the front of the building, similar to I don't know if you've been over to Vay Schultz's. They've got drop boxes. There's actually a drop box and a key pickup there as well. So if somebody wants to access a vehicle after hours, they can go online, get a code, pick up the key, drive the vehicle out.
Great. Okay. Two questions. First one's for the staff. What happened to the proposed storage facility with the U-Haul inside that was proposed across the street that was approved?
It's still proposed. We're waiting for them to submit their construction plans.
That still include a possible U-Haul inside?
Yes. We have not heard anything different. And that's what was approved.
This is for U-Haul folk. Probably about 5 miles down the road, there is a U-Haul facility already. What's the impact on that? Is it going to stay open or?
Sorry.
Yeah, the whole purpose of us opening another one is just to service the community. We need some more equipment up here. Them down there, they're actually starting to get kind of squeezed in because they're actually adding storage down there. So they'll be very limited on the amount of equipment that they have also. And this will just allow more equipment for the people to be able to get.
Is this a franchise operation?
Yeah, U-Haul, it's a franchise.
So, Pete, you have the franchise? Is that?
Yes.
Who runs the place? Okay, so you are. Okay.
Yes.
Second question: do you envision the trucks driving in front of that building between all the other recreational vehicles that are typically parked there? Is that the ingress and egress path?
We would anticipate that people would come into the parking area through Troll Road, drop the vehicle. We'll have signage indicating that that's the way we want them to control flow. Again, we've talked with, I own the building, talked with the tenant. We've talked about how we're going to situate vehicles so that his vehicles aren't damaged, so our vehicles aren't damaged, and we've got that already worked out.
And there's space for them to have display their vehicles as well as have the path through that area?
Yes. And in fact, they're kind of in the same business that we're in. Their business has increased, and they have probably 70% of the time during the summertime, their vehicles are actually off-site. In fact, right now, they've got one in the trailer and the rest are up in the mountains.
Quick sign, any new signage? Most U-Haul operations have fairly substantial signage.
We will be using the sign, the lighted
the one
sign
that
that's
exists.
there now. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not going to be, I know our city has requirements, but it's not going to be enlarged or flashing or?
It won't be flashing. It'll be a LED lit
within the
sign
boundaries.
Within that box, yeah.
Are you going to have a vehicle out front or two, with its own signage to advertise the existence of, kind of rent me now kind of stuff that you see?
If we go, let's see, you had that one that showed if you look at the diagram here, it shows a 25-foot setback.
Yeah.
And that goes through that drive lane. Mm-hmm. So there can't be any vehicles parked there.
Yeah.
And even over to the north where we're showing the parking areas, those vehicles will be parked at an angle.
Okay.
We expect to rely predominantly on the signage, but quite frankly, we've had our number listed and U-Haul's already put it out. We get a call or two a day right now, and we're not even open.
Yeah.
From people asking if they could come by, do we have boxes, a variety of different questions for the business. So we don't expect that, really the visibility is going to be that great for drawing traffic.
For the business.
Right.
And it sounds like, again, just to clarify, U-Haul Colorado Springs, so to speak, really in a way manages the inventory. If you're sort of an inventory light business in the sense that if the projected number of renters is low, you're probably not going to have 3, of the maximum size moving trucks sitting on the lot. They're going to be used elsewhere. Is that kind of the picture of the business?
Yes. Basically what happens is that if we don't have a vehicle, we can rent somebody else's. Mm-hmm. So if there's a vehicle sitting vacant and somebody else needs it, whether they're in Florissant or down in Cascade, Chipeta Park,
yes,
or even from Colorado Springs, wherever, they can send people up to us. If we don't have inventory, we can book vehicles anywhere. We can book vehicles anywhere,
right?
Anywhere in the country, and we get paid when we book those vehicles.
Interesting. Thank you.
Sure.
I've got another question on this parking lot. I know it hasn't been finalized. Is that going to be done in asphalt or cement, or is it going to be on raw land?
No, it'll be asphalted. And what Laura said, if you look at the parking area, we'll be doing a bore from there to connect with the city water main, and so that's all has to be dug up. So we don't want to pave twice, effectively. And with asphalt, what ends up happening, every place you have a seam, it ends up coming apart. So we want to be able to do the whole parking lot at one time and eliminate any seams other than at the entry points.
Question. On the layout of the building, where you come into it off of Troll Road, okay, then the units will exit off the other exit, correct?
Correct.
Where are they going to do the U-turns at to go back the other way?
Well, if they're going eastbound, they'll do the U-turn at Aspen Garden Way.
They're going to have to do a U-turn at that intersection.
Correct. But that assumes, I don't know what the proportion of people who are going to be westbound, eastbound, are going to be going to their homes.
Sure.
And so, effectively...
swap units and put units back and forth.
Correct.
That's a lot of unit to be doing U-turns in an intersection. It's hazardous at the best, the geometry's so bad.
Well, it is a lighted intersection with a left turn light.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
and effectively the vehicles, even the 26-foot box vans, have a very tight turning radius. So making that turn would necessitate them doing a K-turn.
Okay. Laura, just a question. It sounds like it's a very clean kind of operation. But when you park vehicles, why they drip? Is there anything in our environmental regulations in the city that a lot of places, and there are not a lot of vehicles, but is there anything that governs that?
So this is not an auto repair or a service station in any way, and it's just addressed as if it was a parking lot. And John had said that they maintain their vehicles, they're clean. So no, there are no requirements for environmental control on parking lots.
I've got a question for Laura. With the bicycle path walkway, I think the property owner would it make sense to have a stop sign before you get to that sidewalk? People are thinking, I'm moving, they're not going to know to stop, and I would hate to I see people walking on that on a regular basis on that bicycle path.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have a stop sign, they're going to go right through, and maybe
There
it
is a
might
stop
be
sign there.
Okay.
There's currently a stop sign there.
Okay.
CDOT, just informational, CDOT places those stop signs on every commercial outlet. We've got one next door in Peakview Park. There's one on Woodland RV. So when you have that kind of access, they place those there.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Good, were you talking about a stop sign at the corner of Trull and Highway 24 or at the
At
exit?
the bicycle walkway area, just make sure people know to stop, or
At
even
the
have it
northern
on the
exit?
cement stop.
There's a stop sign?
There's a stop sign.
Okay.
So that'll be a one-way off of Trail Road going in there? Won't be two-way?
No, that entryway is designed for two-way traffic, but we anticipate the flow will come through. I mean, people, as with a lot of businesses, if they miss the turn on Troll, they'll see it and they'll want to turn in. Even if we put don't enter, people are bound to do that anyway.
And I realize if they're parking a vehicle after hours, that's not going to be an impact there at that point in time. 'Cause during the day, you'll move it.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other questions for now? Thank you. At this
Thank you, Mr.
point,
Chairman.
we will move on to opening public comment. Do we have anybody signed up? What we'll do is same drill. You got an address, name, all that good stuff. First one is Ed Beebe. Thank you. Carol Trader.
Name's Carol Trader. I live at 425 Pembroke Lane. My question is, you've already got the U-Haul going across the street, correct, Mr. O'Barr? Yes. So when that is open, are you going to close the one on the other side that you have now? Or is it going to be two U-Hauls when you come into Woodland Park? So it'll be Woodland Park U-Haul entry to the gateway of the Rockies.
I'm not trying to speak for,
That's why I turned to him.
but what I would certainly think the common sense would be if you're going out of time, you stop at one, if you're coming in, you stop at the other.
Yeah, but when I come into town, and I came to this little town because it's little, I don't want the pillars of my town to be U-Haul. I got nothing against U-Haul. I use it. And that place that you're setting up, fine, 17. And is there going to be a fence on the northern side of that building so we don't have to look at all the U-Hauls parked behind it?
I don't think there's enough room for them to do that, actually. I'd like to see you get a 26-foot U-Haul in the back section anyway. I'd like to see this drive that back to the
Yeah, but see, U-Haul, yeah.
That's not germane to what we're talking about.
Okay, well, because I like this town the way I come up. We've already got one huge eyesore at the mobile home park. I don't want to see pillars of U-Haul coming up here in this little town. I came to a small community because I liked it. Now, I know there's a service for U-Haul, and I've used it, and I got nothing against it, and I got nothing against it going in the building where it's at. But if the other place opens, I would think that you open that up, and then you close the other one, use it for something else, but not have it on both sides. Because when people come up here, they'll see U-Haul on both sides and think, what kind of community is this? We should be a small community. We'll never be like Breckenridge, but we should look somewhat like them. And we support ourselves up here. And yeah, people are going to move in and out, terrace moves in and out, so U-Haul will be used. But that shouldn't be the main thing we see when we come into this town, and that's my complaint.
One of the things that we did with the property on the other side of the street, if you recall, because Mr. Navarro...
No, I was here for that.
Okay, fine. We have landscaping plans. The impact on that one is a little bit different than this one. And the use bank, frankly, will probably be different. But that's the right to do that.
No, I understand it's right.
Same way.
It's also my right to come in and voice my opinion.
Of course.
But I don't think I should see two of them coming in. The other one's going to be camouflaged with nice stuff. This one's going to have U-Haul out there. And you know, when somebody drops off in the middle of the night, on a Saturday night, you're going to see that all day Sunday. You know, and it's just not what I want to see when I come into this community. And a lot of people come up here to get away from the city. And now we're bringing the city up here. And I'm just fighting that. That's all.
I understand. We haven't seen their landscaping parking plan, so that still is to remain. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Catherine? Name, rank, and serial number. No.
No.
Just recognize it from that guy there.
Yeah. Catherine Nakai, 225 Morningstar Court, Woodland Park. Part of this has somewhat been addressed, but I don't see a direct need for the business at this location. We currently are going to have the storage units across the highway, which have a permitted use of 10 units. Last year they did go to City Council and had that increased to 30 units, which seems more than adequate for this town, I would think, based on our size. My second comment on the staff report is the staff asked for detailed parking, which I understand they plan to do a parking plan. The question I have is, if it's determined that improvements are required, will there be a stormwater study done to basically to see if gas and oil leak down into the stormwater system and into the cities downstream? I don't really want to be sued. And let's see, I think the others were pretty much addressed, so that's all I have. Thanks.
Linda Martin? Linda Martin. Oh, there we go. Somebody else.
Good evening. Thank you very much. My name is Linda Martin. My address is 925 Sun Valley Drive. I have a couple of comments regarding this. First, I don't know if we should even be having this meeting. Apparently, the applicant and Wendy Hartshorn believe that this is already an okay deal, since there was a job posting on Monday, I believe it was, for a customer service representative. That might be a little bit premature. The same job the same job posting was also listed on the community page in January. So, either premature, or they're very much assuming that this is a done deal. The other thing in that job posting, it did say, and excuse me for using my technology here, but the memory is going. It did say for the applicant that they may be required to use protective clothing or gear such as masks, goggles, gloves, or shields because of fumes or irritant chemicals. The parking of these vehicles, if I'm understanding that correctly, is right below some houses. So if that's the case, I'm letting my diesel truck warm up. Those fumes are going to get into those tiny houses. I own a diesel truck, and they put off the smell. So I think we need to be aware of the fact that there are houses and quite a fancy restaurant just down the street. If you have 2 or 3 diesel trucks idling to warm up, that's going to create a smell. I also think when people bring the trucks back because they don't want to pay another day, when they bring them back in the evening after the place is closed, Number one, there should be lighting for me as a person getting out of that truck, walking over to the building to drop off my key. I need lighting in that parking lot. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in Woodland Park. A couple of homeless people roaming around. Businesses that were vandalized just the other night. And I don't want to be the one roaming from that truck to the building without lights. I think we need to pay attention to the safety of our community. Lastly, I also drove past the place the other day. Behind the fenced-in area, I noticed big green Army vehicle. What an eyesore. What a shame for the people in those townhomes that pay $520-some thousand for those townhomes. That this is the parking that they're going to see as they come and go, or as their guests come and go for the holidays, holiday dinners and such. That's a shame. That's a sad statement for our community to make. I also, with all due respect to Mr. LeBar, would like to see him start and complete a project before he starts another one or asks for approval on another one. I'd love to see an ethical developer in this community. We can't get rid of Denny's. We can't get a good restaurant in here because there are liens on Denny's. So, thank you for your time.
I have a question for staff. In that landscaping and parking, the lighting plan as well? That place is dark at night, but they'll understand that. They don't want anybody falling down when you get out of the truck there. Would there be a lighting plan?
If they're proposing lighting, they should show it on their parking plan. I do not believe the applicant is proposing lighting.
Requested to do that. I'm sure they will.
If you're feeling that lighting is important, as some of the comments, then you can add a condition that lighting be added.
There used to be a Mexican restaurant. It's pretty dark coming out of that place. At night you have to watch your step, but they'll Mike? I didn't have to pronounce his last name either.
Hello, Mike Nakai, 225 Morningstar Court. A few questions for staff that would help us all understand a little bit. So the picture above.
Do you mind speaking up, please?
The picture above has the red outline of, I guess, the proposed site, correct? And then to the right is the fenced area. Is that, are both of those areas the same owner?
Yes.
Okay. So, is there anything that would prevent the future change to where they modify that fencing and increase the units, the number of units beyond 17, and park in behind? Or would they have to come back through for an additional CUP?
They would have to come in for an amendment to the CUP.
Okay.
They can't take the fence away and use that additional line. We're only talking about lot 1, not lot 2.
Okay. 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 But I just wanted that clarified, since it's the same owner, whether they could kind of move that back and forth as they saw fit. Thank you. Okay. So back to the report, the staff report. Since this is a CUP, the first item is a demonstrated direct need for this usage in this CC zone, right? The direct need was brought up several times by the fact that we've less than a year ago approved 30 units across the street. Now I understand John is saying that property owners have rights to do what they want. However, in this case, since it is a CUP, there should be a direct need for U-Haul. I'll stipulate to the fact that we can use U-Haul in this town. Okay, but we've just approved. Well, we approved 10 units here in commission. When they came to city council, they got that extended to 30. Okay, so.
I don't think any of us were aware of that.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I think Peter reminded them that since self-storage was the primary business, the units for U-Haul truck rentals would be limited to 10 since it's a secondary, and that is per code, correct? Secondary,
the conditional use permit was approved by City Council for up to 30 units
up to 30, but
across the street.
Against the existing code, because the existing code is for 10 units. Right?
No, the existing code refers to if there is a gas service station associated as a primary use.
Okay, so they did not need an additional approval for 30, because again, in here, these guys, I believe Peter in particular mentioned that they were limited to 10 by the code. At any rate, they've been approved for 30 across the street. So I guess I'm questioning the conclusion that there's a demonstrated need when we've already approved 30 units across the street. Does anybody have any comment on that?
Would you like me to respond, Mr. Chairman? Or do you want to have him?
I can finish the rest of my questions.
Let's let Mike.
That's fine.
Well, you know what I suggest you would do?
Okay.
Go back to council and ask them why. It's not our purview, they did it.
No, I don't. I'm not. I'm asking. My question is, I'm challenging that the direct need has been demonstrated because we have already approved 30 units across the street. That's my point. Okay. And then because this area, because of that map, she didn't mention that the adjacent properties was SR, because technically if you draw that red boundary in between his property, okay, from lot 1 to lot 2, but if you go, 100 feet to the north, that's an SR with a home there at that property. Okay. Maintenance. They said there would be no maintenance on site. So one of my questions that the U-Haul guy might follow up, or the applicant can follow up on rebuttal, is they're planning on renting trailers. Now, what I'm used to seeing is at a U-Haul facility, they have a garage or a bay where customers can come in with their own vehicles and have the trailer lighting installed to be able to legally pull that trailer. So I guess I have a question for them. Where's that work going to be done? Okay. And then, I know we talked about in this glowing report of the employment opportunities that we were going to employ 2 at this facility. I don't know. I guess my only question might be is can we think of another use that would be less than 2? Is there anything we could imagine that would be less than 2 employment opportunities? It seems a little low to me. It's not something I would just wave on a flag. In number 6, where the applicant intends to conform to all city provisions, rules, regulations. This is a question for Sally, since she runs, I guess, the code enforcement department. Has the applicant complied in a timely manner to all city requests for changes to their properties in and around the city? Since they are the applicant of the CUP, one would think you might consider their past performance in complying with city regulations. Okay, so, and then on the U-turn and the intersection, as you know, that crossover on 24 has a steep lateral grade to it if you've ever driven over it. Okay, I think what you're going to find is some people pulling trailers who aren't used to pulling trailers are going to have a challenge. Crossing that intersection, they'll stop with their vehicle in the crossroads, and the trailer will be blocking the number 1 lane on westbound 24. Okay, and then the ones that get up to Aspen Grove will have a challenge making a U-turn with a trailer up there. So I would suggest that you add a condition that CDOT review that intersection and the usage of it as it's planned here for that. Okay, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Is anybody else that didn't sign up wants to come up here and talk about it, yes, you certainly are welcome to do that. But we have to find out who you are when you come up here.
I'm Wendy Hartshorn, and I live at 19253 East US Highway 24, the tiny home park, which, by the way, I'm not worried about any diesel fumes at all, or any fumes, so there's that. Firstly, Air Force moved our family a few years ago, and I moved twice in this last 3 years, and it was very stressful having to borrow trucks from friends. I do know Mr. LeBar, and he is a knowledgeable developer, and I'm positive he's not going to put something in there that would not be useful to Woodland Park. I mean, he wouldn't. He lives here and loves Woodland Park, right? I mean, it just, to me, it's common sense. But he owns the building, should be able to do, like I said, what he thinks based on his experience instead of listening to the community and putting a gentleman's club. So I think that's all I have.
You haven't applied for the job there, have you?
No, I have not. Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else? All right. It's about the time. We shall close the public comment. At this point, any rebuttal from the applicant on any of the items we've talked about?
A couple of comments were made with regards to the number of vehicles that are going to be here. There's one U-Haul or two U-Hauls. The City Council approved 30, but the site across the highway won't allow for 30. If you look at the parking plan, if you look at the way that was laid out, it won't accommodate 30 vehicles. So if the community is good with 30 vehicles, I can tell you that there won't be 30 vehicles up here because we can't put them on that site, on the site across the street. Oil and gas leakage, if a vehicle is leaking anything, U-Haul, we call them, they come pick it up, take it away. I would say that we're more likely to have vehicles parking from neighboring businesses, associated businesses on our property that are going to leak oil than we will have from these vehicles. They're very well maintained. Their fleet is very new. They turn over inventory, sell their inventory fairly quickly. Again, the equipment is moving, constantly moving. And in fact, the preponderance of vehicles that will be there probably be a 50-50 split between trailers and actual motorized vehicles. The vehicles operate on gas, they do not operate on diesel. So diesel fumes won't be an issue, and we don't warm up the vehicles. Most people don't warm up vehicles, it wastes gas. There's no need to. The engines are modern engines, and they're used to being started up and driven away. The job posting. The job posting was a canned posting that U-Haul uses, and that's what we used. There aren't any hazardous materials. We're not a U-Haul service center. There are U-Hauls that do that type of thing, and that's what it's referring to. We didn't cleanse it. My apologies, but again, that isn't what we're going to be doing there. We have no interest in maintaining U-Haul vehicles. With regards to the lighting, there is adequate lighting on the building now. We're more than happy to demonstrate that by turning on the lights at night. We've turned the lights off at night to conserve energy and to help with the dark sky initiative that we have in the community. We can leave those lights on, and most likely will once we get up and operating. The job postings, we do anticipate approval. We hope for approval, and I think we wouldn't be here if we thought we weren't going to be approved. We have training that we have to get people trained so that when we are approved by City Council, if we're approved by City Council, that we need to be able to open, and we want to open fairly quickly. So it's not unusual to hire employees before business is improved. You know, we wouldn't be here if we didn't think we could get approval. Liens on the building. I want to address this and address the vitriolic nonsense that occurs. Yes, we have a lien on the building. It's within Federal Credit Union. We owe, I think, about $300,000.
Which building are you referencing?
I'm talking about Denny's. But I understand, but I want to get it on the public record because it's nonsensical. We have a mortgage on that building. There are no other liens. There are no other anything on the building. And if you really were interested, you would check the public record to ascertain and get your information before you stand before the public and make fallacious comments. We have no intent, and again, as I stated previously, this is a turnover business, and it works for U-Haul, our franchisor, as well as us, to turn inventory quickly. Having units sitting there dormant doesn't make sense for anybody, and having a parking lot full of units doesn't make anybody money. So those units will turn effectively, and in fact, we probably won't have 17 units, even though we've identified 17 parking spaces. We'll probably only have 10, 11 units there at any given time. Number of employees. Johnny had 1 employee. Yes, we intend to hire 2 people to begin with, and if the business is successful, which we anticipate we'll hire additional people at a later date. So the turning radius isn't any different with a trailer on these trucks than it is without a trailer. The trailer tractors right behind the truck and has the same exact turning radius. Difficulty that people typically have is not with pulling a trailer, it's with backing trailers. And we don't intend to have to deal with people backing the trailers with the way we'll set up the flow. So I think I've addressed. And let me just quickly address across the street. That's a different business. Different business partners, different business ownership. I own this building solely. I will own the U-Haul solely. And so what happens across the street, even though I do have a minority position in that, I don't have a say in how that is run, a direct say in how it's run. It is moving forward for the public benefit, and we expect to have plans to the city shortly to accommodate that. Lastly, and staff certainly can comment on this, I'm not aware of anything that we have outstanding that hasn't been resolved, or the city has come to us with issues. We have been proactive in dealing with those issues. We have been cooperative in dealing with those issues. When they have come up, and if there's been a handful, I think that's probably an overstatement of any issues that we've had to deal with. And typically it's been, hey, can you do this for a neighbor benefit or neighborhood benefit? The installation of the fence was to benefit both our tenant and the neighborhood. We weren't required to do that, but we did it at great expense to basically shield what was already on the property before some of the residents ever moved there. So that's my rebuttal to the comments that were made.
Thank you. What about trailer hookup?
With regards to?
Yeah, when a customer comes in and needs to have a trailer hooked up and maybe lighting done, I thought that was a good question. How do you handle that?
So trailer hookup, we do the trailer hookup. I mean, somebody comes in, they have
out in the elements, right?
What's that? You
don't have somewhere to put it inside to do that. You do it outside.
Well, trailer hookup is one thing. You're talking about installing lighting and all that.
Yeah.
We're not planning on putting in receivers. So if somebody has a receiver, they're going to have a receiver to pick up a trailer. And to do so, they'll have to go someplace else to get that receiver put on. And typically when the receiver is installed, they'll put the trailer lighting in with that. Doesn't mean to say that if somebody has an issue with their light, if we can figure out how to fix that for them, of course we'll try to do that. They can't take away the vehicle or a trailer without having serviceable lights. So we have a safety obligation to make sure that their lights are working before they leave the lot with the trailer.
Question for Mr. Labar on the operations. If I were to lease a truck from your site next to Trell Road, am I able to drop it off at the site across the highway?
Yes.
So that could be...
If that site has a U-Haul, yes. Those vehicles can be dropped anywhere.
At any
U-Haul dealership, yes.
So an advantage of having two U-Hauls on the eastbound or the westbound is perhaps easier access for folks.
Certainly.
I've got a question for between now and then when the other one opens. When Karis, say, fall comes and you have 1,500 students coming in and some of them have U-Hauls, you have 17 spots, so you're filled up with some of your day-to-day spots, and then they're also trying to drop off 50 U-Hauls at your place, and I know he's going to come up and pick them up, but where are they going to be stored in between them? Behind the building? Are we going to make some type of an exception to allow you to park extra vehicles in the back of the
No, we haven't asked, even though we do have, if you look at the site plan, we do have on our property, on the side on Troll Road, we do have parking areas there that a variety of different individuals use. I've never used, but several people have. But effectively, we know we have an idea of what's coming at any given time because people schedule the unit for a certain amount of time, they're bringing it to Woodland Park. The computer database says you're going to receive X, Y, Z. So if we get where we anticipate we're going to have too many vehicles or too many trailers or too many whatever, these guys come and take them away.
And are you going to be open 7 days a week?
We're planning on being open 6 days a week initially.
So then on Sunday, possibly, if all these people start returning them, your parking lot could be totally jammed up, and then meanwhile, are you open on Sundays where you can come in and get those vehicles? Based on a computer alert that they have 50 vehicles because 1,000 Karis students came up and they all returned 50 vehicles at his spot.
Come on up here, Jim.
We have a traffic team in the Springs that directs traffic. If we know there's this, he has a lot limit on how much we can have on his lot, we will direct them down to other locations.
So the keys themselves go automatically. There's a detection that says, boom, car number X was returned, and you know it's on his lot Sunday. Is that how your key box works? Or is it Monday morning they go out there and they're like, oh, wow, we've got 60 vehicles parked everywhere here. They've dropped them all off. That's what I'm saying. How would you know on a Sunday that you had 50 of them returned because 1,000 Karis students came in?
Well,
how would you know to go pick them up so we don't have them all along Highway 24, all over Trool Road? You know,
we actually have a computer system that has, called an ESL, that has the actual equipment and what's expected in and what's going out.
So the customer will tell you, I will be returning this vehicle on Sunday.
Correct.
And you'll know that suddenly, bam, there's 50 of them being returned that Sunday, and you'll send a guy up knowing that there's going to be 50 returned.
Well, we won't allow 50 to show up here.
Yeah, I think what he's saying, if I may, for a second, is that the whole inventory management process is handled by U-Haul. And they have in their database the fact that this firm, who's asking for this approval tonight only has 17 parking lots. And in your rental process online, if the system already knows that there's going to be 17 vehicles returned on a given day, it won't allow you to return the vehicle to here. You just can't it's like a rent-a-car. You can't, I mean, people could do this, I suppose, it just arbitrarily return, but you rent a car and you have a return, and that's where you have to return it. I think what he's saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, I don't know your business, but that if Mr. LaBar's operation is full on a projected basis, you will force people to return somewhere else.
So they have to go all the way back to their Springs to
They
return
may have to.
vehicle.
Right.
Wherever Florissant, Cascade, Springs, wherever they can allow more equipment there, that's where they'll have to drop off.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a, maybe not a leap of faith, but in considering this, we have to trust that their inventory management process is actually going to work, and we're not going to have the situation that you described, where in a short period of time a whole pile of renters want to return. That in the reservation process, we don't know this, we're just sort of accepting this, that it wouldn't allow that to happen.
If a customer drops off, here where they're not supposed to, they also they actually get fined a certain amount of money.
Is it a huge fine to stop people from doing it, or is it, no big deal, it's only $20?
No, it's hundreds of dollars.
Okay.
So it's a deterrent from doing it.
Any other questions? Yeah, I assume the current lighting does not comply with current standards?
The applicant will comply with all current lighting, and if we go out and notice that it's not downcast or properly shielded, we will tell him so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me make a suggestion. See how that sounds. We don't have a final parking plan. We don't have a final landscape plan. It was a conceptual drawing, not an actual drawing. We have to turn it over. If we would continue this meeting until May the 7th, it's a Tuesday night, he still can complete and not take them out of schedule for the May 15th meeting for council. You said it was scheduled for May 15th. And we can look over these final things and make a decision on some of the questions we've raised, and do that. We simply postpone this until then.
I agree. I don't consider the application complete without the parking.
And then wasn't there a drainage study?
No, there's
It's not
no
typical
drainage study that was
planning
required.
we see when we see something like this.
One thing about the drainage, every time we get a 3-inch rain in summer, every driveway coming onto Highway 24 is going to look like the Red River of the Nile. And you can't stop that. You can't stop runoff coming off of that cliff, as well as you can stop the runoff coming off the sidewalk that's down front. It's got all the erosion on it. We try our best, but that is a difficult. Every driveway, I don't go downtown, and all the red stuff's coming out there too. I don't think we're talking about that. I mean, maybe make some effort to clean it up. But when the water runs over the gutters in downtown Woodland Park, you know it's 6 inches deep flowing in front of my business. That is something that's just going to be a mess for everybody. We clean it up, the city goes out there, CDOT goes out there, everybody pitches in and cleans it up. I mean, there's no way in the world you're going to fix that base of that wall.
The drainage plan,
A lot of money.
Mr. Chairman, the drainage plan would have to show some slopes and how the parking surface is draining.
So it's really,
Parking services.
it's the collection, conveyance, and release of the drainage. We cannot, or the way the standards are written is that detention and water quality measures are put in place when we either have a new development or a substantially improved development. And a substantial improvement is when a building is remodeled more than 50% of the value of the building. This is not the case here. But with their parking plan, they will have to demonstrate on that plan how the stormwater runoff is collected, conveyed, and released.
I would like to see all that before we make a decision. That's all I'm suggesting to us.
A motion?
Is that a motion?
Could be.
I would like to first poll everyone and make sure that you can be at a meeting on May 7th.
It's a Tuesday instead of a Thursday.
I pull out my phone.
Yes, unfortunately, we can't do it on May 9th because we've booked this room, anticipating not having a planning commission meeting.
Sure.
We were asked at the last minute to present or to develop a parking plan. And so consequently, we didn't have adequate time. It wasn't a lack of want to. It was, hey, you need to do a little bit more than what you have. And so that's why we weren't prepared. There isn't going to be any collection of water because all we're doing is redoing the surface that's already there.
Overlay.
An overlay, correct. Well, it won't be an overlay because some of that will be removed when they do the boring. So really, the drainage isn't going to change. It'll be what it is now. And I can certainly put that on the parking plan. But I don't think you're going to get, and I'm fine with coming back on no, I shouldn't say I'm fine. I would rather not. We've been through the process. I think that we're entitled to have the board decide on this. You're not going to get anything more substantial than what we've already presented with regards to parking. What you're asking for is to delineate what the size of the parking spaces are. We've already said that we will comply with the code. We'll have that drawn up and presented to staff for their consent. I would suggest a approval based on submitting that for their review.
Are you going to withdraw then the request for a parking plan and all that stuff?
Staff is recommending submittal of a parking plan for the planning department review and approval.
We'd like to change that to the commission as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what did you say, John?
They can come and present it to planning later as 30 parking spaces being used.
17.
Call.
17.
I remember the 12. Would you like to wait and do it on the 7th? It's not going to slow them down going to council.
Well, the review of the parking plan is pretty much an administrative review to make sure that it complies with all of the code requirements in terms of the striping, the handicap parking.
You know what? This applicant shouldn't be held accountable for the actions of the city council. And I know we're a recommending group, not an ultimate authority. But I think sort of under the surface of this was we had a pretty robust debate on the project across the street around the number of vehicles, and this was brought up by one or two of the citizens that spoke, the public that spoke. And I think at least to find out tonight, at least I did, that, and I realize what our role is, but that a well-considered conversation that we had at the time around the number of vehicles, and there was quite a public input on that too, that it went from 10 to 30 is sort of striking. And I think there's just maybe in my mind a general puzzlement as to what would prevent, no disrespect intended, for this applicant to then go to the city council and say, I want to have 25 spots. How do you sort of manage that and know that there's going to be a certain outcome after the process we've been through?
And the other thing too is if
generally speaking, we usually get to see all the information that we need in order to make a determination. It's not, oh, we're going to get it later. And I think in order to follow the rules for one, it should be the same rules for everybody. And we don't have that.
If you recall on the other project, that they had to come back with the landscaping plan, all that detail that they didn't have on the original.
Right.
We have three choices tonight. We can approve it, we can turn it down, or we can ask for a continuance. That's the three choices.
I move that we continue to May 7th.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, may I just suggest that you state what you're expecting on May 7th? Submittal of a complete parking plan.
Landscaping plan.
And lighting.
All the items that you had listed that you wanted.
Okay, so a complete parking plan complying with section...
That's what you asked for.
Okay.
Still want that?
Yes.
I just want to make sure. That's all.
Do we need lighting? Do we need some lighting?
Don't have lighting, that was in there. We'll add, we'd like lighting. But I want to keep them on schedule for the 15th of May so it doesn't slow them down here. I think that's fair. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All the questions, please.
All right. So the motion is to continue this meeting so that the applicant has more time to complete a parking plan, complete with lighting, to May 7th.
All the ideas that you listed, though, right? Landscaping as well.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. So we had a first by Jeff and a second. I didn't catch who the second was. Peter? All right. Ready for roll call? We'll start with Jeff Watson.
Yes.
Ellen Carrick. Vicki Good.
Yes.
Jerry Penland.
Yes.
Peter Scanlon.
Yes.
John DeVoe.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you for coming for the public comment. You certainly can come back on Tuesday, the 7th. It's not going to be our normal Thursday night. Again, if you'd like, another public comment opportunity for you to talk about. And you're more than welcome to go on. It passes here on the 7th, and your council will be on the 15th. So, thank you for coming. From that standpoint, everything else, okay. Business of the group.
A few reports, if I may just mention a few items. First of all, I would like to introduce to you Jason Myers, who joined the hearing here. He is our new city attorney, and Jason and the staff, we're working together on amending some of the zoning regulations that relate to the Board of Adjustment, housekeeping, and the side yard setbacks. So you'll be seeing those coming forward. We did talk about that in our December meeting, so we're putting the language together for those ordinances to come forward. Secondly, you have a great CML magazine on your desk. It is about planning, so I encourage you to read the articles in it. And then speaking of planning, tonight was the first kickoff meeting for the city's strategic plan, and both Ms. Good and Mr. Scanlon attended that meeting, the beginning of it. So I would encourage you to put on your calendar May 28th. That will be the next community meeting, and hopefully you can attend, and hopefully you've already done the survey to give your input to our consultant. Lastly, on your desk this evening is a flyer inviting you to the meeting or the presentation for market analysis and business opportunities in Woodland Park. The Main Street program was able to get a grant from DOLA to be able to have a market analysis done for our community. So Thursday, May 9th, 6:30, here in the council chambers,
The consultant, Gabe Preston, will be here to present the findings of that market analysis. It's quite interesting. There's also a link on our website to the report if you want to take a look at it ahead of time. So lots going on this spring, and hopefully you'll be able to participate, and we'll see you on the 7th.